for an evening filled with paranormal, special guests, interviews, haunting stories, creatures of the unknown, and tales that will chill you to the bone. Brought to you by the UPRN Network and Pittsburgh Paranormal Society. Take a walk into the night with Shawn Kelly.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Into the Night with Shawn Kelly, which is me, and thank you for tuning in. I am on UPRN Radio 105.3 New Orleans. And how was everybody's week? Mine was okay. You know, there was a little bit of stress going on, and there's some things that popped up, and you know what? I dealt with it, and everything was okay. And I hope everyone is okay with out there listening. Um, Life has been good. We did a investigation down at the Buxton Inn, which was in Greenville, Ohio. That was our second time down there, and it was really, really interesting. Um, what we're doing for them down there is that the Buxton Inn, which is an inn, and I think it was built in the 1812s, I'm not sure, something around that, but they actually have the inn from the original time it was built. And so what they do is what they offer is people to come down, and it's called a paranormal night, where people come in and they rent a room for the evening. And when they rent a room, then they can go on paranormal investigation with us, Pittsburgh Paranormal Society. And this past week, we had about 40 people. And it was, you know, we were trying to figure out how this was going to work. And so, of course, there was four of us, and we had to split 10 to a group. And it turned out okay. We tried different types of equipment. And they seemed to work. We got some good evidence. So whenever I get it all, I'm going to put it on the Pittsburgh Paranormal Facebook page and the Chasing Prophecy page too. And so everybody can see what we caught down there. But I do have a complaint that I want to bring up. And it's some of them ghost apps that you have on your phone. Now, I'm not knocking the people who made them. You know, I mean, they got to make a living. But I was sitting in the Blue Bar, it was called, and all I know is I felt a spirit on me. And this guy took a picture, and there was a picture of a ghost that was sitting on my shoulder. And the minute I knew, when I saw that picture, it blew the guy away when he saw it. It was a ghost sitting on my shoulder. And I'm thinking, nah, I've seen thousands and thousands of pictures of apparitions and ghosts, and this was just like too perfect, you know. So, I mean, if it was me, and I would suggest to the company, is to get those little things out of there, get those so-called ghosts that are there, because it really, you know, it gives a bad reaction to ghost hunting. I don't want to say reaction, but it gives it a false advertisement to ghost hunting, because, you know, ghosts are real. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send this text of the picture, and hopefully Joe might be able to put it up for me. I'm going to send it to him in a text. And see if I can forward this to him, and he can put it on for us. So hopefully he can. I don't know how to do it. Share media search. Let's see. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture of it, and I'm going to forward it. I took a picture of it. Let's see if I got it in my pictures here. I really want you to see this, because it kind of like it's really ridiculous. So, Joe, I am sending you a picture. Can you please put it up for me whenever you can? I send it in Messenger. Thanks, buddy. But I saw this ghost, and I took the guy. I didn't want to embarrass him in front of all these people, and I took him to a side and I said, that's fake." And he was like, "What do you mean?" Um, I said, "This is, it's fake because ghosts don't look like that." And they don't. I mean, it was like really, really clear. Um, so hopefully Joe gets that. But all in all, it was a good experience. The people down at the Buxton Inn are wonderful people. And they treat their people pretty good. And I will say this about them: their food is like five star food. It is so good. I had a burger, and my God, I couldn't finish the burger. And I had three meatballs. Of course, I have to get my meatballs. And the sauce was awesome. And see, to me, that's funny because a sauce is very important to me on pizza and on meatball sandwiches. Um, I'm not really into real like spicy ones. There they are. There's the pictures. I don't know if you can see it, um, but you see this little ghosty that's on my shoulder up there. Maybe Joe can enlarge it, but I just it's just not right for people to. It's not right for an app company to do something like that. Now there are some good apps out there that could possibly work. Um, don't look like you can blow it up, brother, but when you see that ghost picture there, it's just not right. It's just not right. So I think the companies need to work on them a little better and not give everybody a false reading or a false thing about it. Um, so that's what I think about the apps. Now there's another app out there. I'm trying to think what it is, but it picks up orbs. Like a red orb is close, and a blue one is like midway, and the one yellow is far away. Now you have to remember too, the apps they actually pick up, um, microwavable microwave and all kinds of other things. So it could be given a false reading. But for me, what the deal is that, and again, I will say it, will be, what could I'm trying to just lost it. The best evidence that you can get is a personal experience on an investigation. So that's where I'm at with the apps. There is good equipment out there. You got your digital voice recorders, which in our terms it's called an EVP, and all you do is ask the ghost a question, and if they answer, they answer. If they don't, they don't. Now Jason, who's our techie guy, he comes up like he'll listen to the EVPs and stuff like that, but what I like what he thinks is that he'd like to know like what frequency are they on? Are they above our frequency? Are they below our frequency? Maybe someday I'll have him on and maybe explain that, about the frequencies and stuff like that on the EVPs. And then you got cameras that are very, very good at picking things up. I'd have to have Jason on here one night, or maybe tape a show because he has to go to bed early, and then put it on and explain to everybody all about the equipment that we have because he's more knowledgeable into that than I am. But the one I do know what the one piece of equipment that I do have, it's called a K2 meter, and to me that's the best For me, it's the best piece of equipment out there. I mean, it's old school. And what a K2 meter does is that it picks up electromagnetic fields. All right. So you have to remember that spirits are are energy. And so whenever you're using the K2 meter in communicating with a spirit, you ask them a question, and if it lights up, that spirit is there talking to you. Now, the best thing to do before you even start a K2 session is whatever room you're in, what you want to do is you want to get a baseline of the whole room. Okay. And the baseline is um, that everything's pretty cool, which means it would be on the green. Like there's green, orange, red, and a couple other ones. But the more light that is shown, the more presence of the spirit is close to you talking. Um, so when you do that base reading, then you sit down and you're the only one in the room, maybe with somebody else who's snapping some pictures, but you start asking questions and all of a sudden this little K2 goes off and you're like, uh-huh, so someone is here. And so you just do a little 20, 30-minute talk or for as long as the spirit wants to talk to you. And hopefully the person that is with you who's taking pictures, you know, um, pick something up, or someone having a digital voice recorder, pick a voice up. That would be solid. That'd be solid evidence. And so it's like um, it's a good little tool to really start off ghost hunting with is a K2 meter. And then after the K2 meter, then you work yourself up to cameras. Now, personally, me, I like trail cams. Okay, but in the paranormal field, they call them static cams. And what I like about I call them trail cams. What I like about it is that you can set them anywhere in the house or anywhere in the building, and you turn them on and let it go. You don't have to be around the camera all the time, snapping pictures and worrying. And my good friend Russ, he told me he put it on video, and that's what I started doing, a little 15 seconds. So whenever something walks in front of the trail cam, okay, it will pick it up. It will pick up whatever's walking in front of it, and it'll shoot off a little 15-second video. So I have had good luck with them. You know, to me, it makes life simple because I just am a simple man when it comes to all that. So I am grateful for my group, you know, everybody that brings their equipment and it works. It's great. So equipment is good. Now, another thing, a lot of people talk about they go into a room and you snap a picture and you see all these orbs in the room. Okay. Now, the majority of that is dust. No doubt it's dust. Okay, the majority of them. But whenever you get orbs that are making like little circles and going up and down, then that's a spirit. No doubt. Nothing can make that. No dust. When dust flies in a room, it goes straight. It can come up that way, it can come down that way. Um, Especially when they come down from the ceiling, you do not know if somebody's above you walking around, and as they're walking, the weight on the floor is it dropping dust or whatever. So, but here's my question to people who are in the paranormal field out there now, who are listening. If you go into a room and you know it's dusty, okay, so you go in with a camera, just a camera, and you sit there and you wait until all the dust settles. It takes about a good 10, 15 minutes for the dust to settle. And you're snapping pictures and you're snapping pictures and you're not getting anything. So, you know, okay. And so you're just sitting there doing your EVP, not moving 1 inch, because if you move 1 inch, one iota of an inch, you're going to kick up dust. So my question is, so you're sitting in a room and you got 15 minutes of nothing, and then you decide to snap a picture again, and all of a sudden you see all this dust flying in the air, and nobody else is in the room. What kicked up the dust? There's no air going through, there's no ventilation going through. It's just a room with dust that all of a sudden it got kicked up. So I believe, this is me, I believe that the dust was kicked up by something that was in the room, more than likely a spirit, no animal, no nothing like that. So whenever you take pictures and you see dust all over the room, what kicked that dust up? Nobody else is in the room with you. But all of a sudden you see all this dust flying, and it was a spirit that came right through and kind of like just kicked it up. So to me, dust orbs, could give you could give you some certain things that there is a spirit. So if you're ever on an investigation and you're in a room by yourself with a camera, make sure all the dust is settled, and then 10, 15 minutes later, start snapping pictures and just see what comes up. That would be great. Now, there's another piece of equipment that a lot of people like to use, are dowsing rods. And I like dowsing rods, okay? There's a good thing about dowsing rods and there's a bad thing about dowsing rods. Okay, the good thing about dowsing rods, it does pick up water. Okay, and the bad thing about it is you can easily manipulate the dowsing rods. And that's the same way with, I've seen it happen, I've done it, I've seen people manipulate it. And, but there are times when somebody who's serious about using dowsing rods and knows how to use the dowsing rods, that they are pretty decent on working. But I have another complaint. I was at a place one time where there was a lot of tourists out there, and this guy offered an investigation. You pay him a lot of money, and he'll take you out to investigate. But he doesn't take pictures; he just takes dowsing rods. Now, at the time, it was pretty expensive. I'm not going to tell who it is, where it was at, whatever. But I'm just saying. And what he did was he took the people who paid all this money and he put them over water. And of course, the dowsing rods are going to move because they're over water. And it's like, wow, unbelievable, you know. And it's just, and I just wanted to walk up to the guy and say, you know what, this ain't cool, because you're just like taking people's money. And there's a lot of people out there, a lot of different companies that do such things, and it's pretty cool to go on. They're in Savannah, they're everywhere, Civil War, Savannah, and Virginia. They take you on ghost tours, right? And the majority of those ghost tours are so-called urban legends of the different types of ghosts that hang around in a certain area in a certain town. And what and it's interesting because I've done these tours, and what I've learned a little bit of history of the town that I was in. and what happened during the Civil War or the Revolutionary War or whatever war it was. And afterwards, I needed to fact check myself. And usually, there are legitimate ghosts that do haunt that area, but there's also urban legends that they take you on, and different stories that the people who run the show, the tour, they heard it from stories all the way down. The stories could have started back in the 1900s and worked their way up. And you know what? It's not bad. And it's bad if you're a novice, if you just want to know about the history. But the best thing to do, honestly, is to just go to a place and, any Gettysburg, Shiloh, um, Dunkirk, wherever there was a battle, and do your own little private investigation. You don't have to stay all night. You can go down, say like it gets dark early in the winter or in the fall. Fall's the best, and just go and bring your own little K2. Bring whatever you want to use. Uh, you can actually use the iPhones, yeah, and the Androids have cameras on them that are freaking awesome, and you can actually pick up some spirits. You could pick up an orb. They're recording the recorder on the phone is good, and you can actually do a little EVP session with your phone. So, besides the apps and the other things that they try to get you to get on the App Store, um, you can just do it right off your own good phone. You know. So that's what for now. I just wanted to bring it up about the different things that are on your phone and the app stores that might not be right. So if you plan on getting an app with some kind of ghost detecting on there, really research it and see what you think. The majority of them are free, so it doesn't, it don't hurt to try them if you want to try them. I'm telling you not to try them, but I'm just telling you my opinion about them. And so, like, back to the investigation over the weekend, we had some really cool things happening. We were in room 8 and 9, and the girl and her boyfriend were in room 9, and we told her about the cat they have down there. It's called Major Buxton. Okay, and that's what the name of the cat, because the last owner who owned in, she named the cat Major Buxton. And maybe next week I'll show the video of it here. But there's this little ball that lights up whenever a spirit touches it. And so she saw the ball being played with and lighting up, and she wasn't in the room, but she caught it on camera. I was like, this is so cool. What made that ball move? I personally think it was a cat myself, the ghost cat. So in room 8, we were sleeping, and I was, I took my nap before we did this investigation because it started at midnight, I'm sorry. And so the other guy was out doing this thing, and he heard walking in our room, and he thought it was me. But when he came back and saw that I was dead asleep, he was like, uh-oh, I really got to set up my camera in our room. So we set a camera up. So I don't know if he got anything, but it will be interesting to see. That would be pretty cool. Sleeping and there's a ghost that walks by. That would be so cool. So how was everybody's week? Did you do any ghost hunt? Did anybody? What did you do? Leave me a comment. in the chat room here, and I'd like to share it with people. Um, so it was a pretty interesting week. Um, Now, as you all know, that I'm on the radio show Chasing Prophecy with Jenny, Trish, and Jason. And on our show, earlier we talked to a guy. He's a really cool dude. He really is. But we were talking about longevity, people who live to 100, 150 years old, 200 years old. My question to you guys is, would you want to be immortal? Do you want to be immortal? Would you like to live for a very long time? I personally would not want to live that long. Okay. I personally believe that the big man upstairs, God, he says, well, whenever you're ready to leave, Shawn, I'm going to take you. But what makes people live that long? I mean, how? Without, just eating and drinking water. And if that's true, okay, why isn't there a lot of other people living? You know, um, I really wish I remember what that dude's name was. I'm not really good, but you have to listen to Chasing Prophecy on SoundCloud, and check out the show or you can go on the Pittsburgh Paranormal Society Facebook page, or you can go on YouTube. I think it's called UFO Paranormal, something like that. I don't know. Joe will fill you in. But it was a pretty interesting show. I can't see living that long. I can't. And then we talked about a guy who thinks that there's going to be like a 4,000 or 40,000 aliens coming to invade Earth. Why? And I bring this up all the time, and I'm saying to myself, I said, even if it does happen, what can we do about it? We get attacked, we get attacked. Do I personally think that's going to happen? No, I don't. And if it did happen, I'll probably, hopefully, will be dead. And I can watch the show from the outer world, see what happens. But so, what do you guys think of that? Aliens coming down and attacking Earth. I mean, can you imagine all the craziness that would be happening? Like people panicking, running and doing whatever. I bet they find a religion real quick when they see that all happening. But I personally think that, that aliens do exist, and I do believe that they're here to help. And there are people who talk about that, that ghosts are aliens. Is it possible? Yeah. There's really not so much research into it. So maybe down the road a little bit, here and there, someone will find something out about it. And maybe they are. But as for now, right now, at this very moment, there's no aliens. And you know what? I'm okay with that. You know. So a while back, I was watching this show on on Tubi, okay, and it was about, I think his name was Sir Two-Face, and it was about a paranormal group down in Australia or New Zealand. One went down there that they caught a picture of an alien, And it was a really, really pretty interesting show. Talks about how they saw this alien on picture and how this country of Australia, I do believe it was, hired these paranormal investigators to go find out what was going on. And it's a lot of stuff going on. And, um, and it was a pretty interesting documentary. Um, and if I, it has some, Sir Two Face was the name of it. And it was like, wow, the government asked you to come in and investigate a paranormal, event, a paranormal sighting with an alien. And yes, they did find one. But as typical as everything else is, whenever you come up with solid evidence of something, they're just going to blow it away, blow it off, like it don't exist. Which brings me to ask you, if you saw a picture of a ghost, an alien, a Bigfoot, Thunderbird, the Mothman, would you believe it was all that? Was it a Bigfoot? Would you believe that? You know? Would your normal human thing, the way we were grow up with, say, nah, that's nothing, nothing at all. It's just a hairy beast. And that's okay. Think that, if that's what you think, but don't try to push it on people that, no, I don't think it was a Bigfoot. It was just a hairy beast. Could have been a bear, you know. And what's crazy is that people out there try to imitate or, mock a Bigfoot, walking where a guy will dress up as a Bigfoot too, and someone be taking a picture of this guy walking through the woods. And people get all round up, they get all happy about it and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, it isn't. It can't be. Um, so no, people are crazy. People are just to get, just get some kind of 15-minute of fame, you know. But again, what would you do? You know, would you look at the picture? Would you think it's photoshopped? Would you think um, it was a trick played on us? You know, the only person that can make that decision is you, you know. And and people, especially new the paranormal alien UFO hunters and paranormal investigators, when they're brand new and they take a picture and it's like totally awesome and all kinds of stuff, and they're showing all their friends, and all their friends make fun of them because they don't believe them. That's not cool. That's not cool. Um, to say, hey, it's a pretty interesting picture, but I'm sorry, but I can't agree with you. And here's the biggest thing that happens, though. What's crazy about it is that the new paranormal investigator would be like, look at it, look at it, look at it. And you know what? Sometimes it's the paranormal investigator who's trying to push his photo on it. In the field, everybody's trying to get the ultimate picture of a ghost. Okay. And say like you're in a place and you took a picture and you got a picture of a real live apparition. Not live, but a real apparition. That's happened to me a lot. And I would put them online, and boy, would I get ridiculed about it. And I lost a couple of friends about it. So I learned, for me, what I learned was, if I got a decent picture, I wouldn't put it out on the internet. I'd keep it for myself. I don't have to prove nothing to nobody. and I can't force anybody who wants to be. Um, I can't force anybody who doesn't believe in it. You know. So I just hold on. Trust me, I got some cool pictures. I got some really good pictures, and some good video. So maybe one day, if I get it, all together, then I'm going to, put it on my show, and we'll have a show just on pictures and evidence and stuff like that. So that would be pretty cool to do. I just have to learn how to put it on instead of letting Joe do it all. Maybe he'll teach me about it. But I don't know. I'm going to make this a short show tonight, um, because unfortunately I do have to be up at 4:30 in the morning. But I'm going to continue talking until I fall asleep. I doubt that. But I just wanted to tell you that these are the certain situations that happen during investigations, and what might happen, what might not happen. You know. Um, so I this past weekend, a very, 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 very close person to my heart um, finally came out and told me that he was gay. And I gave him the biggest hug in the biggest hug. And I told him, "How do you feel?" And he was really relieved. But what was sad about that was, okay, is that for the longest time, he held it in, and and he would fight it. And it really, really made life really hard for him. And so when I met him and I sat down and I talked to him, he felt a hell of a lot better. And I'm really, really close to this dude. And I said, whatever you want to do in life, go for it. I'm not here to judge you. I'm just here to give you all the support in the world. As long as you want my support, I'm going to give you my support. And what was pretty cool is that a lot of other people that are in the same group, we all sat down and talked to them and said it was okay. You know? And it turned out, for all those years that he was hurting and afraid to fight it and fighting it, and no matter how hard he tried not to want to be, he got really, really brutally totally depressed, and he almost offed himself. I'm glad he didn't, because I love that person very much. He's really, really, really a good dude. Um, so I don't know what I'm going to have next week. I'm not really sure what show I'm going to have. If you have any suggestions on what type of show you would want me to have, feel free to send me a comment on the Pittsburgh Paranormal Facebook page, or you can write UPRN Radio. You can send them an email, and whatever email comes, then they could actually they'll send it to me, and then I can read it, and then we can go from there. Um, but everything's going to be okay. It is. I just want to tell you that, everybody, that everything will be okay. It really will be, because you know what? Life might be pretty bad, might be down, but you know what? You're alive. My sponsor in AA told me one time, he said, "You know what? You really got it made." And I was like, What do you mean I got it made? I said, I used to work for the government. I made tons of money at a house, 2 cars, a wife, the whole 9 yards. And after, um, I got my divorce and stuff, I had nothing. I didn't have that job with the government, and I didn't have a wife. I didn't have a son living with me. And he just like took me and he kind of like not slapped me per se like that, but he said to me, he said, "Do you have food in your stomach?" I said, "Yeah." I said, he goes, "Do you have a roof over your head?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Do you still have a car?" Even though I didn't make no payments on it for a long time. I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Most important," he said, "you you do have the love of your son, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "What more do you need?" And I looked at him puzzlingly and he said, "You know, my God, I'll say God gives us what we can handle or what we need, God just gives us what we need for that day. I didn't need all the money. I didn't need this. What I had to do was focus on myself to get sober in order to make life easier for me and for other people in my life, you know. And speaking of which, I just have this one last story I want to share with you about what happened to me. I remember I was in early recovery. I was in early recovery and I was off, and my son was about 3 years old. Okay. So I stayed home, and because I stayed home with him because I was, it was my day off, and I babysat him. And so I got a call from a lawyer, and things weren't being paid. And I got real nervous. I got really nervous. I got scared. I tried calling my sponsor. I couldn't get a hold of him. I tried calling everybody I knew in AA because, I was losing my mind. I was going nuts because I didn't know what the hell was going on. And at the time, um, my son, he was taking his nap. And what happened was, at this very moment that I walked in, and I mean, I was stressed out really bad. And what happened was, I crawled into bed, and this 3-year-old boy woke up, and he said to me, "Dad, you need a hug." And he gave me a hug. And he said, "Dad, let me hold your hand. I will babysit you." And at that very moment, at the very second, I knew that was God talking. I did. So it wasn't really that bad, you know. And my higher power knew how bad I was hurting. And I know it was kind of a test to see what would I actually do about it if I would go out and drink, or how much faith I'd have in him. And when my son did that, it just gave me reassurance that somebody's out there saving my butt. So I'm going to be closing up for now. Um, Life is good. Ghost hunting is good. Everybody's show on UPRN 105.3, their shows are good, you know. And I hope that you still continue to listen to all the shows that are on. Um, and it's funny because you might learn something that you need to know, something that you might, out of the clear blue sky, that, oh wow, I was having a problem with this, so I tuned into this show, not mine, but any show, and say, aha, hmm, pretty interesting, and you learn a lesson, you know. Everything happens for a reason. There's no such thing as coincidences. And on that note, I'm going to say good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. And I will see you next week. Happy hunting.